more size. But you're not even reading it.
Okay, thank you all very much. And as we convene, we are now moving on to item number 11, which is adopting ordinance for deferred retirement option program. I'm going to hand the floor to our committee for presentation.
Good afternoon, Chair Austin, Member, and members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to provide an overview of item 11, which is requesting the board's consideration and adoption of an ordinance establishing a deferred retirement option plan, known as DROP, for safety employees in the county of San Diego. Today's action brings before you for consideration what would be the first DROP for a California county that is subject to providing employee retirement benefits under the section of government code known as the County Employees Retirement Law of 1937, which we refer to as SORL. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge and thank the team of the San Diego County Employees Retirement Association, the staff, and the actuary, as well as our county staff and the county's actuarial contingent who work together in close partnership to prioritize and begin the work of how to implement and administer a cost-neutral drop. Joining me in the well today are Walter J. Orell, County Council's representative on the drop team, and Drew Ballard, Foster & Foster, the county's actuarial consultant. With that, let's begin. Today's presentation will briefly review drop and the county's past actions to date. We'll highlight key drop requirements and the specific parameters of the drop program before the board today that were negotiated with employees. Our closing will summarize today's recommendation and next steps. DROP is a retirement benefit that generally allows eligible employees to continue working and earning wages while simultaneously starting to receive pension benefits, as if they had retired. These benefits are set aside in a notional deferred account and are ultimately paid out when the participant participant needs county service. Upon joining DROP, a participant's pension benefit is determined and set based upon years of service, salary, and age, and calculated as if the participants were retired on the effective date that they entered DROP. Pursuant to SERL, only safety employees can participate in DROP, and any DROP design must comply with stringent requirements, including cost neutrality for the retirement system. The next slide summarizes county progress towards establishing a DROP. In December of 2023, the board directed work with an actuary to explore options for a county DROP program that would be cost neutral as defined by law. A team of county staff completed this work in partnership with the county's actuary, Foster & Foster. Subsequent reports to the board were followed by labor negotiations with organizations representing safety employees. And in May of last year, the county signed letters of understanding to define a specific DROP. As legally required, the board then requested the Retirement Association, also SDSERA, to cause the completion of an actuarial analysis of the negotiated DROP to confirm its cost neutrality. SDSERA's actuary confirmed this back in December, which caused clarifying revisions to the LOUs. The draft ordinance presented to you today reflects the DROP parameters that were negotiated and were confirmed to be cost neutral by SDSERA's actuary. Let's look at cost neutrality and as mentioned, any county DROP must be cost neutral as defined by existing law. This law is specific to counties governed by the 37 Act, including the County of San Diego. This sets us apart from other public agencies that may have had a version of a DROP for their benefits. This means that there can be no increase in employer contributions to the retirement system, no increase in actuarial accrued liability of the retirement fund, no increase in present value of benefits, and no decrease in the present value of benefits of more than 3%. The board must adopt DROP parameters that factor into the program's cost neutrality, including length of participation, employee and employer contributions, cost of living adjustments, interest credits and interest rates, and method of distribution. Additionally, cost neutrality must be reevaluated regularly within 4 to 10 years. The proposed ordinance requires an analysis of cost neutrality every 4 years by SDSERA, with results to be reported to the Board of Supervisors. Additional DROP requirements are highlighted on the next slide. The county must negotiate with employees to develop a DROP design. The county's labor relations team and Department of Human Resources completed this work last year, memorializing the DROP described in today's proposed ordinance and letters of understanding with each of the safety labor organizations. Before adoption by the board, must perform an actuarial analysis to confirm the negotiated DROP is cost neutral, and this was completed in December. Lastly, the board must formally adopt any negotiated DROP, which brings this item before you today. The next slide gives an overview of key parameters of the negotiated DROP. Agreed upon provisions of the negotiated DROP to ensure cost neutrality include safety employees are eligible for DROP when they would have otherwise been eligible for service retirement, a maximum participation of 3 years, 0% interest is credited to the DROP accounts regardless of the retirement fund's investment performance. Distribution from DROP accounts is only by single lump sum distribution or qualified rollover. Employee contributions during DROP will continue with 75% deposited to that employee's notional account and the remaining 25% going to the system. Employer contributions during DROP will continue with 100% retained by the retirement system, and DROP participant accounts may receive 50% of cost of living adjustments applicable to the employee's retirement tier with no accumulated adjustments, that is, no COLA making while in DROP. Pending today's action, next steps in the process to implement a county DROP continue to rely on our strong working partnership with SDSERA, which would be the administrator of the county's DROP. County and SDSERA staff would continue to move forward with implementation, including finalizing the necessary enhancements to the PeopleSoft system and new processes and procedures for DROP administration in the Department of Human Resources and Auditor and Controller. We are also educating employees through targeted outreach via email and providing seminars to impacted departments, including the Office of the Sheriff, District Attorney, and Probation. Drop would become operative on March 20th. Looking forward, Drop administration would become a part of operations with ongoing education and enrollment of eligible employees. The results of required actuarial analysis of cost neutrality will be reported to the board for future consideration. The cost neutrality requirement doesn't mean a Drop program is cost-free for the county to implement. The county also must plan for the impact of potential costs of Drop that fall outside of the legal definition of cost neutrality. These include infrastructure cost, setting up our IT systems, estimated at $150,000 for the Department of Human Resources, for enhancements to PeopleSoft, and also ongoing costs for Drop administration, which will begin once Drop is operative. There are other financial impacts that the county team will be monitoring, including any impacts to payroll due to retention of higher paid employees. Payroll is expected to grow based on participation levels in county Drop. And those participation levels we won't know until we actually have experience with the program. As well, there may be a potential for cost savings to the county, although actual Drop enrollment and program experience is needed to quantify this. Retaining employees could have some offsetting impact on overtime costs and vacancies, and some cost avoidance in recruitment and training. Actual amounts will depend on the number of Drop participants. Staff will monitor and analyze impacts as Drop moves forward, which will be included in future updates to the board. Funding for ongoing costs of Drop currently are not identified for funding sources and would be included in budget development for the coming year and moving forward, subject to board adoption. Implementing Drop also presents opportunities for the county to support retention of a skilled workforce and address employee satisfaction. These benefits can't always be calculated. Today, the board is asked to consider the first reading of an ordinance implementing a Drop at the County of San Diego. If approved today, the second reading would occur on January 28th. Subject to your questions, this concludes the staff presentation.
Okay. Before moving on to public comment, ask if any of my colleagues have any questions. Okay, so any questions, we'll take public comment.
Thank you, Chair Lawson Reamer. We have 12 requests to speak on this item, 6 in person and 6 requesting to speak by phone. Also note for the record that we received 3 comments, 1 in favor and 2 in opposition. For any individuals that requested to speak on item 11 by phone, please dial into the conference line using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers. As your name is called, please come forward and stand on the arrows until it is your turn to speak at the podium. Because there are 10 or more speakers on this item, you'll have 1 minute to address the board. And I'll ask you to begin by stating your name for the audio record. I'd like to call forward the first 3 individuals: Sal Campos, Michael Odine, and Joe White. Call your name, please come forward.
Good morning, Chairperson Lawson Reaver, Vice Chair, Montgomery staff, and members of the Board of Supervisors. My name is Sal Campos. I am the President of the San Diego District Attorney Investigators Association. On behalf of our members, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I want to sincerely thank this board for considering an affirmative vote on the Deferred Retirement Option Program, better known as DROP. For San Diego District Attorney Investigators Association members and the public safety group employees. This measure represents a meaningful, cost-neutral, and highly experienced district attorney investigators, protect our communities, support victims, and work every day to uphold justice in the county of San Diego. DROP is not only a retirement tool, it's a proven workforce strategy that allows the county to retain highly trained, experienced criminal investigators, promote stability within the district attorney's office, and supports effective succession planning while recognizing the years of dedicated public service to our members given to the county of San Diego. Your consideration is proactive states, respect for public safety employees, recognizing long-term benefits. Thank you for the leadership and time.
Thank you.
And I have vote in support.
Sir, your time is up. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Mike O'Dean. I'm the president of the Deputy Sheriff's Association. Here today to support item 11, the adoption of the ordinance establishing the deferred the DROP. Between 2023 and 2025, in the last 36 months, the Sheriff's Office hired 667 new deputies. During that exact same period, 498 deputies left the department. As a result, that's nearly 75% of our recruitment efforts were dedicated not to growing, but simply backfilling losses caused by retention challenges. This program is critically important and will allow the Sheriff's Office to retain experienced personnel for an additional up to 3 years, preserving institutional knowledge while significantly reducing the high costs associated with recruiting and training a deputy sheriff. The program will also allow the probation department to retain experienced staff and invaluable benefit to our juvenile justice system. I want to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart for your unanimous support throughout this 3-year process. By retaining our most experienced employees for additional years, this program will save the county, the taxpayers, and the taxpayers billions of dollars. Thank you so much.
The next speaker is coming forward, all by the remaining speakers in person. Jennifer McIntyre, allegedly Audra, and Jennifer Fox.
Good afternoon. My name is Joe Wayne. I'm the president of the Supervisors Probation Officers Association. I wanted to start off by echoing what Mike just said, which is we really thank you all for considering this adoption of the DROP program. I just wanted to basically say that the DROP program will allow us to retain the experienced officers and allow for more succession planning and training because the probation department is getting younger by the day. And this DROP program definitely affords us an opportunity for the older officers to train, mentor, and prepare officers. The probation department is headed in right now. And so my thing is really quick. It's retention, it's support of the younger staff to get our department going in the same direction, which is a positive direction that we've been working on as a unit. Thank you very much.
Chair, members of the Board of Supervisors, and staff, my name is Jennifer McIntyre. I am the Secretary of the San Diego County Supervising Probation Officers Association. On behalf of the SPOA, we want to extend a heartfelt thank you for taking this important step today. The adoption of the DROP program marks a meaningful moment, one that has been many years in the making. This decision reflects careful consideration, open dialogue, and a genuine commitment to the employees who have dedicated so much of their professional lives to serving this community. For many, the DROP program represents not just a benefit, but recognition of long service, experience, and departmental knowledge that strengthens our organization every day. Today's action sends a clear message that service matters and that long-term commitment is valued. We want to say thank you for asking thoughtful questions, for your leadership and support, and for being willing to move forward on this program that benefits both employees and the county. Thank you.
Come forward in any order.
Good afternoon. My name is Jennifer Fox. I am the president of the Probation Officers Association. On behalf of our members, I just wanted to send my sincere thank you for your anticipated continued support of DROP. This program represents a pivotal moment, not just for our membership, but the future of probation as a whole. Currently, about 15% of our members are eligible for retirement. These are officers at nearly every rank. They carry decades of knowledge and real-world. At the same time, half years on the job. These officers are the future of the serve the strongest mentorship, training, and support we can provide as they begin their careers in public service. When we keep experience in place, everyone benefits. Our youth, the individuals on our caseloads, and the communities that we serve. Thank you for that. Thank you for continuing to support the DROP program. Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
So interesting how you guys like to racket with money, and this is interesting because, is this going to be something where loopholes are going to be exploited, where people are going to be double dipping, people are going to be doing, workers' comp claims while getting maximum payouts without working? I mean, who knows? But you guys are supposed to safeguard these things, not gamble things away, because that's what happens with retirement. You guys put it on, so that you can make money from it. And the people that you're making money off of don't get to see any of that money. They just know that you're just like we're traded on the stock market. That's what our Social Security and our birth certificates are for, in case you guys aren't aware of that. But any way that you guys want to make more money, it's interesting because even, CalPERS lost 71% of $468 million because it was invested into clean energy. We know that's all a sham, but whatever you guys can do to fill people's pockets, good job.
Thank you. Now here from the individuals that requested to speak by phone. We'll begin with our first call.
All about this, the drop thing allows tentative wages while accruing larger pension and larger debt for the future. It is possibly a good way of retaining safety personnel, but there should be a less expensive way. Meanwhile, the state and feds are broke, the city and county are both running large deficits. And only for a few people, there are other priorities like housing vouchers for the poor being cut off. And there's time when the economic outlook is uncertain beyond who is broke right now. To put this idea in pause and look at the less expensive ways of retaining personnel, less costly incentives for staying on the job. The presentation said that the drop program may save money, but you need to be sure. I thought the ordinance at this time.
Thank you. Here for the next caller.
Andrea Edding, and maybe, just maybe, district attorney investigator, if you guys are doing the job of keeping San Diego safe, then maybe I would support this, but you're not, you're absolutely not. And if we want to retain employees, I mean, I think it's a pretty good benefit package where we have, let's see here, I don't know how many sheriffs and, I don't know, individuals are making like $500,000 a year. If we're in Southern California, in San Diego County, only San Diego County, all the others don't have this notification, but it's a note on the top of the Transparent California website, which actually collects data from tax records of county and city employees. And it says, per an email from San Diego County on 6/27/24, their unapproved actuarial liability or pension debt is allocated within their data and entry for defined benefit pension contributions. So I don't know how we're having a hard time keeping people when we have like literally, let's see.
Thank you. We'll hear from the next caller.
Hey, should I have a procedural question? Is the supervisorial toilet now located next to the chamber entrance? Because none of you actually went to the restroom. That was a front. We saw them while they started texting and talking to county council. Liars. More questions. Is the program called drop because employees drop their income into a bucket that the county can borrow from and waste on junk none of us want? Another $16 million in extra payroll costs to keep the overpaid bigwigs at the top while barring low to mid entry level jobs. Instead of cost neutral, the county should focus on spend neutral programs. That would result in pay raises that don't come from raising reserves and having FDIU put new taxes on the ballot. Also, it's ironic to increase payroll to county employees while wanting to steal the pay to get working. But there's even more tax dollars for county union minions. Shame again. And you guys unlawfully failed to take public comment on the reintroduction of an ordinance. So much scripting today, legally and procedurally passed. Shame. Nothing but kissing up from the military. Disgusting.
Thank you. Here from the final caller.
Amen to that. Anyway, okay, so I'm a little confused because of some of the speeches. What item are we on? Are we on, have you guys addressed 11? Oh, no, we are, the human trafficking, have we covered that yet? Number 10? I'm just needing to know before I start with this.
That was continued, and we were on item 11.
Okay, so 10 has not been addressed.
That was
Yes.
continued.
Correct?
It was addressed. That was continued. We are on item 11.
Okay, so I will, be speaking on closed session, not item 11.
Okay, you can call back.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, Chair Lawson, that concludes public comment on this item.
Okay, thank you very much. Do any colleagues have anything to say? Supervisors?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to, retention is a real big issue. We rely on the unincorporated on our sheriffs, like nobody else, because they're the only law enforcement. And I want to thank them for working so hard over the last 2 years to find something that was revenue neutral that we all can get to. And I think this is going to be a great tool to keep some of our best deputies working for the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? I just want to add, ensuring that we have the best, the brightest, the most courageous, the most focused public safety officers in the county and the state. It's got to be a top priority. We have to continue serving our community, and just very happy that we've been able to identify a path forward to continue having the best trained, best qualified people here in San Diego County. So thank you all for your partnership, and thank you to the county team, particularly the really focused work on looking for careful, thoughtful, revenue neutral options that have continue ensuring that we are putting the public first and seeking taxpayer revenue and resources while making the investments we need for our county. So thank you. Do we have a motion or a second?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Anderson, and I will second the item. Oh, Supervisor Montgomery. Okay, Supervisor Montgomery is happy to second. Thank you. Please take a vote.
Chair Lawson, that motion passes unanimously. All supervisors who are present voting aye.
Okay, thank you very much. So now we're going to move to board committee reports. At every meeting, I ask if anyone has any report outs from any committees that you represent the county on. This could be any of the subcommittees that we all participate in as part of our work on the board. We also include all the many committees that we serve on, from Sandbags, the LAFCO, the ABCD, SBCP, and everything else in between. So any reports from any committees of any kind that we should consider. Okay, so, Vice Chair Montgomery.
Thank you so much, Chair. I just want to update our board on the Juvenile Justice Ad Hoc Subcommittee meeting. On January 5th, 2026, Chair Pro Tem Gary and I held our first official meeting of the Juvenile Justice Ad Hoc Subcommittee. We had great attendance from many of our stakeholders, not all, but many, including formerly detained youth, families, and community-based organizations who work with impacted youth. I want to also thank the Probation Department and CJJA for presenting and listening to our community members. We heard from probation with regard to the 2-year plan for phasing out the use of OC spray and updating its policy regarding room confinement and use of force. We also heard from CJJA with regard to their collaboration department on that plan. Still a lot of different perspectives in the room, which we do appreciate, and we'll come back to the board with recommendations. But it was a very fruitful conversation. So we'll continue to do this work and look forward to everyone being in the room as we move forward with the subcommittee meetings. That was not the only one that we will have. And so throughout the year, we'll be doing this work and bringing those updates and recommendations back to this board. I just wanted to update everyone. Also, just really quickly, don't want to be out of order, but I do want to say happy MLK Day to everyone. It's coming up on Monday. A lot of festivities over the weekend, and I was trying to remind folks that we live in a time where we revere the values of Martin Luther King Jr., but at the time he was alive, he was very much faced a lot of opposition, and his approval nationwide was not high at all. And so he really fought to make things easier for us. And as I remember him, I try to remember the things that he truly stood for, and what he would be thinking about the time that we're in right now. I do not think that he would be pleased. The other thing I quickly try to do is thank his family for really allowing the nation to celebrate him in this way. And sometimes what we do as a nation is we do not tell the truth about his life and what he really stood for, and the family really has to go through that. So I want to thank them and try to keep his true legacy alive, and all the sacrifices that he made for this nation, because he really believed that it could be a place where everyone could thrive. So I hope everyone participates in the festivities over the weekend and throughout the next week as well, to honor and commemorate a great man. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other updates? Okay, we'll now resume non-agenda public comment.
Thank you, Chair Lawson Raymer. We have 12 remaining requests to speak on matters not listed on the agenda. 1 individual person and 11 requesting to speak by phone. Those are requested by two. I'd like to invite forward in-person speaker, Ricky Robertson.
Okay, you can expect to speak twice here, but I'm the paternal grandfather of Elias and Zaya Robinson. Just wondering how we can stop the elder abuse in the retaliation and get my grandchildren home or back to their mother to meet their new twin siblings. It's got to be some kind of resolution. I mean, they have retaliated on me. There's evidence of it, case fixing, perjury, let alone the child trauma on my granddaughters. How do we get these children home? They have family. They don't need to be adopted out to some Norma Oliveras that's plotted to steal them from the get-go. That could be proven too. So I would really like to, have a peaceful resolution with this matter here and get my children home. I mean, it really affected my life, affected my mother. She just passed away in November. She could feel the impact of what we were fighting. We shouldn't have to be fighting for family here. Should be some kind of money going for reunification, but it seems like San Diego, they just celebrate adoptions. I mean, it's sick. Then you have a guardian ad litem supervisor making statements in court in front of the mother. They're better off going with their new family, and then they were trafficking into the Dominican Republic, 2 American girls, a 2 and a 40-year-old. We just want to get them home. And now they are threatening to put me in jail. Oops, my time is up. Anyway, thank you.
We'll now hear from the individuals that requested to speak by phone. We will start with our first caller.
Hey, it's true. The only people that showed up to the answer were Tara and Amilla and campaign funders, SAU, ACE, and IBW. And that small protest was funded by communist organizers, CSAL, CIO. These same progressive puppets now aim to tax everyone to death via a $500,000 laws to increase property taxes, transfer taxes, and even payroll taxes to make up for their own mismanagement of our tax dollars in 2020. Isn't it incredible that Minnie Manuela, who failed to even pay her own property taxes, wants to hike up everyone else's property taxes by 6,000%? Two-Face Manuela not only told NBC's Joey Thatcher said she would not support such a thing, but she also campaigned on lowering the cost of housing, yet now she's pushing for the complete opposite. KPBS even admitted that, quote, Democrats on the board moved money around to pay for union bonuses, yet the county's financial situation remains dire, end quote. Other headlines say the county is still pursuing a consultant to conduct polling and research on raising taxes. And leading the sales tax push is SEIU, which is closely allied with Democratic supervisors and a major financial booster of their political campaign. That means more quid pro quo out in the open. That matches the county's fraud, waste, and abuse. From a Voice of San Diego article, quote, Solutions for Change withdrew hundreds of thousands of dollars from reserve accounts to cover operating needs, even though withdrawals may only be made to fund housing projects with the approval of the county, end quote. The county allowed our tax dollars to be funneled to big NGO salaries who never reduce homelessness, only increase it by kicking out the renters at Oak Ranch. And a second example, from another Voice of San Diego article, quote, the county spent $5.2 million storing tons of PPE in a private warehouse. Now 43 shipping containers worth of material is probably going to a landfill, end quote. San Diego County waste, fraud, and abuse and mishaps is rampant under these progressive puppets. And yet all Mindy Manuel has earned for angry theater tricks for terror today is tapped on the head. Manuel is great at exposing her true egotistical, combative, violently tyrannical nature. I am grateful for this.
Thank you. I have the next call.
Good afternoon, Board of Supervisors. My name is Terry Ann Staley. I've worked with children and youth, and I received a great deal of public health information. Lately, one of the environmental issues that seems to be in the public health news is environmental behavior, especially along the sidewalks, shopping areas, and in neighborhood gathering areas where youth congregate to eat and see events here in the county. A recent fact sheet from Americans for Non-Smokers' Rights, the 40-year-old premier nonprofit organization, promotes prevention and education about smoking, vaping, and secondhand smoke and vape, was entitled Facts About Secondhand Marijuana Smoke. It has been their role for decades to expose the tobacco industry's interference with public health policies. Ultimately, their intent is to create a smoke-free, vape-free generation of Americans that rejects tobacco use and savvy to tobacco industry tactics. Over the past 5 years, Americans for Non-Smokers' Rights has added marijuana to all of its educational prevention efforts. Their fact sheet states that, and I quote, secondhand marijuana smoke and vape contains many of the same cancer-causing substances and toxic chemicals as secondhand tobacco smoke, end quote. Now would be a great time for the county to consider an ordinance that prohibits public marijuana and tobacco smoking and vaping in our public areas. Several cities in San Diego County have these ordinances already. The county's unincorporated communities would welcome such an ordinance for their use. Thank you for hearing my concerns this afternoon.
Thank you. Take the next call.
This is Peggy Blocker. Thank you for honoring Youth Mentoring Month earlier. I'm here as a youth mentor, deeply disturbed by the negative impact of marijuana commercialization on young people. Studies show the harms of high-potency THC far outweigh uncertain tax benefits, and that shows your proposed unwanted county expansion public health decision for our young people. Marijuana ruins young lives, tears families apart, and the news just keeps getting worse. A new 2026 Drug Impact Report from Smart Approaches to Marijuana, a national authority on marijuana, shows teen users have a 300% higher chance of scoring poor grades than non-users, even with just once-a-month use.
Pediatric edible marijuana exposure for children under 6 increased 1,375% over 5 years. ER admissions for cannabis hyperemesis syndrome climbed 407%. Daily use of high-potency cannabis is associated with a fourfold increase in risk of psychosis, 25% higher risk of heart attack, and 42% higher risk of stroke, both at younger ages than ever, and sharply elevated risk for head and neck cancers. Those are only a few disturbing outcomes. Now believe marijuana has a negative impact on society. So I ask you, please consider the harm and cancel the expansion program.
Thank you. Here for the next caller.
Hi, Paul Bow. Okay, homeless tiny cabins in Lemon Grove. You bought them for $12,000 each without the standard bathroom or cooking facilities. Not much dignity. You would pay $11 million for a 60-bed shelter, now $2 million for the lease. Then the county apparently ignored a Fed decision to enforce its regs to lease the land at market rate and not $1, since at least August 2025. Behind the scenes, it decided to tax $2 million in unused money from its Office of Homelessness Solutions budget to buy the site. So how many ex-SNAP recipients are deprived? How many voucher users get their funds cut? And the board letter says that the property ceases to be used exclusively for year 15 years back ownership of the property. Any change of use of property will be subject to sequel review. The shelter is not needed for 15 years. We may end up giving away the $2 million or paying even more for a sequel review. You'd think they would check the regs before voting on the deal in the first place. Now, Arabella McCormick, Andrea Ebbing, Evelyn Robinson, the 150 or more Polinsky Center abuse cases, along with other abuse cases, people and animals, make me wonder if the board takes care of its own but ignores all the harm to others and policies cost.
Thank you. Here for the next caller.
Good afternoon, Board of Supervisors. This is Ann Riddle. When I retired from social work, I started working in mentoring programs. Thank you for recognizing and honoring them. And one of my roles is providing public health information. One of the really great sources for this information, from whom I received an alert this morning, is called Action on Smoke and Health, or ASH, A-S-H. It is America's oldest anti-tobacco organization. It's almost 60 years old, and it's dedicated to a world with zero tobacco deaths. That's because tobacco is the leading cause of preventable death worldwide. ASH supports bold solutions proportionate to what they consider the huge magnitude of the problem. And since it is the #1 cause of preventable death worldwide, one would surely agree that that's a huge magnitude. To say in their health alert this morning that they have involved and led the way to a change from a control paradigm regarding the use of tobacco products to a mission to reach zero deaths from tobacco. I think it is interesting that this county would never consider how would they want to cultivate it. And yet, all of a sudden, we want to have marijuana stores and we want to cultivate it. It's a contradiction in terms. It seems like it's counter all good health, education, and theory wise. It's almost duplicitous. One wonders what's behind it. Remembering that marijuana, like tobacco, is what people smoke and vape. And the deaths related to smoking and vaping come from tobacco and marijuana. This is an unwise idea at a very bad time. Thank you.
Thank you. Here for the final call.
I'm going to Abby, and I want to just everyone to kind of follow along. Again, I'm not sharing this to get it off my chest. I'm sharing with the expectation of action, fed, media, local, county. Okay, we have our very own Somali daycare fraud situation going on. It has been for a long time, and there's no denying it. Now, thankfully, the world is rumbling around the Freeville enterprise. People are jumping ship. People are being replaced. And they can't hide from what's going on. We need to look into a family justice center, which is actually not family justice center. A family justice center was started by Casey Quinn, our former city attorney. However, when Mara Elliott took over, who was super corrupt and retired at $812,000 a year, which is like 5 times the amount of pay she should have been getting, she had the Union Tribune asking her office program was listed as delinquent by regulators. This is from the Union Tribune, Mara Elliott. Can you tell me why the city attorney is directing charitable contributions to an entity that is not legally permitted to conduct business in the state of California? Well, guess what? Rico Mobbox on our second now oversees this program. They're not helping victims. I can tell you that attempted murder and child abduction, and despite bringing it to them with videos of my head split open, they turned me away and had a filthy, disgusting San Diego Police Department detective come out and threaten to arrest me if I ever came back. There was nobody there being helped. That's a shell company. And now Dwayne Woodley, just shit, what happened? Our assistant district hired, making that much money? Well, now Farmer Stephen is race baiting and gender baiting by telling everybody that he was the first black AJ, and now the first female second the new ADA. She's just setting herself up because she knows she needs to resign soon. Every thought?
Thank you, Chair Lostman. That concludes requests for non-agenda public communication in this session.
Okay, we now turn to public comment for closed session matters.
Thank you, Chair Lostman. We have 5 requests to speak of matters on the closed session agenda. The closed session agenda includes 6 matters. Individuals that have requested to speak in closed session must provide comments related to the matters listed in the closed session item. Otherwise, your comments will be considered off topic. Again, that's item 13. We have 5 speakers, 1 in person, 4 requesting to speak by phone. For those who request to speak by phone, please dial in the conference line using the instructions that were provided to you. Elected by the board allegedly order. 2 minutes to address the board.
I have some serious concerns about any of your closed session matters regarding your county council and anybody that you have that is here protecting the rackets that you guys are engaged in. There can be no transparency or accountability or sound mind decision making when county council and you guys are engaged in obstruction of justice, conspiracy, domestic terrorism, child trafficking, racketeering, collusion, fraud, which fraud vitiates. So anything you put fraud in means the entire thing is fraud. You know that, David. Yet you sit here and you don't do what you should be doing, what you took an oath to do. So you're abrogating your oath. You guys are engaged in organized crime. You're protecting predators. This is treason. You sidestep the law. And it's interesting because, you know, the things that take place and the things that your county council is very, very sad, because it's like county council told to hide the video or move the camera when I was showing Malika and Zaya Robinson and showing the trauma that they have endured. And it's interesting that you guys can sit up here on your dais and not pay attention to anybody, all while children are actually being abused in the systems that you claim are protecting children. And if you've ever actually been in the presence of those children and experienced the trauma, and then think about your own children and what it would be like if that was them. I never thought I would live in a world where it would be so inverted, and it made no sense to me why things like this could take place until I understand that this is Satan's playground, and all of you are doing his bidding. And you will have to answer to our Creator and say why you allowed that to happen when you had every power to stop it, yet you don't.
Well, now here's the notice of request to speak by phone. We'll start with our first caller.
Okay, Gonzalo here, and I am speaking on possible litigation. Okay, you systematically ignored public opposition while advancing policies that align with unelected global frameworks. Some very simple questions for the record. Is this county implementing or aligning with United Nations Agenda 21 or 2030? Yes or no? Is this county participating in or planning for 15-minute city design, mobility restrictions, or behavioral-based compliance systems? Yes or no? Yes. Is this county coordinating with regional planning agencies, public-private partnerships, or international NGOs not directly accountable to voters? Yes or no? Yes. Has this board adopted, referenced, or relied on World Economic Forum frameworks related to sustainability, resilience, digital systems, or economic restructuring? Yes or no? Yes. Have policies been enacted that limit ownership, movement, or access under the justification of climate? If the answer to any of these questions is yes, when were the people informed? Where was the vote? Where is the opt-out? You ignored the people in the Grove, Spring Valley, North County, South County. And yet, have done nothing about those things. And for anyone watching how power operates here, Chair Tara Lawson-Raymer, her recent target of the predictable alliance shift, distancing begins, people reposition for survival. This is not courage or accountability. Again, it is strategy. Chair Lawson-Raymer is a product of this system, fluent in how it works and highly strategic in how she moves within it. Sudden principle breaks inside entrenched power structures are rarely about principle. They are about preservation. I see right through you, chick.
Now here for the next caller.
Hey, Truth, Sarah, so it's okay to answer yes. You would know. You worked for the UN, you know. Case A is Heroes and Talia versus the county. Morgan & Morgan filed a trip and fall personal injury lawsuit on January 18th against the county. Case C is Cleveland National Forest Foundation versus the county. That would be Jack Shoe and one of the Democratic character chose lawsuits. It's kind of interesting to have progressives doing progressives. Case A is the county suing somebody, we're not sure. Is the federal government by chance? I know, Terry, you love your lawsuits more than you love your data. Did bonehead Rhonda put the progressive puppets up to it this time? You know, instead of maybe focusing on the severe housing corruption going on in the county and in the entire state with your corporate developer campaign funders. Case F is Purple Shirt Mafia doing what they do best, twisting arms, stabbing backs, and issuing threats as always. They're also good at political theater and getting arrested, and I wish that would happen way more often because only 2 union minions arrested is not nearly enough. I'd like to see Terry and Manuela get deeper in those protests so we can see a result closer to what the county would actually benefit from. And I'd like to know which union minion found the anti-ICE idea in Texas and Manuela. How could the county council aid the county in these lawsuits when that same The reorder item today advocates anti-free speech requirements for county contractors. Does the new labor negotiated contract require that county employees keep their mouth shut too?
or if they're illegal, county employees, they always get a free pass. Police against Americans. Because I have a dream that all children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character, Monica. Equity is dead because it's the opposite of that dream of Martin Luther King Jr. And I enjoy watching you county puppets smile at each other when I caught off the fake restroom event over the Target. Thank you for making my day. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Nice job.
Although hope the new county council agrees it's important to settle cases where the county is guilty before taxpayer costs and interest add up. Cleveland National Forest Foundation versus counties where the county used old data to set GHG limits. Sounds like you relied on 10x old data. Need to settle. Maine versus county. County employee apparently put a sign up obscured by shrubbery. County found them not liable for this because the county's liability is under a different law. Doesn't sound very ethical to me, but that's the government. But you need to settle. Gross versus county. Daniel Gross was involved in a shootout at the Harbor Police leading to his arrest, and he was convicted of attempted murder and assault. Whereas appealed, arguing that the trial court failed to properly instruct the jury on not sure how the county is involved. Arabella McCormick, Andrew Ebbing, Evelyn Robinson, the 150 Lord Polinsky Center abuse cases, along with other abuse cases, people and animals. The usual growing list, but the solid risk, legal and financial. There should be personal audits, including dismissal persons responsible for crimes against people that county, for CWS, CPS, HHS, the Sheriff's Department, CLERB, and other agencies which deal with. You'll settle the 150 odd cases.
Thank you. Here's the final call.
This is Andrea Ebbing, and I don't actually know the term for this, but those of you who are attorneys, law enforcement, brighter than me, media, maybe understand what this might be, but certainly we have a situation going on where we have these lawsuits between the city and county that go back and forth with partners of the people that these folks are working with. So I'm just concerned about, I don't know, even like the validity or like the substance involved in lawsuits. We don't get to know, do we? An example could be Mara Elliott, the city attorney's office, suing the owner of Apex Recovery while taking kickbacks from him at the same time as the county awarded him $5 million. So did we pay $5 million for a lawsuit against him while taking blood money and then also awarding him $5 million to install him into a kickback program for rehab and homeless? I think so. Also, I just want to say something about Alex Byer. Alex Byer, we got into his former county council, right? And he's on the Commission for Police Practices. But now he is suspended because he's actually doing the job of the Commission for Police Practices. Nobody wants to see anybody held accountable. They want to delay, keep it understaffed. And documentation of repeated instances in which your department's personnel obstructing justice, hindering delaying our activities in the pursuit of policy is one example. Then and that thought. Tara, if you really mean it, that you understand that Summer Stuffing cannot be trusted with 50 cents of somebody else's money, she will take it. Okay, $200 million for consumer protection. What about our children? Are you serious? Consumer protection? Get out of here. She needs to resign. This is a complete
Thank you, Chair Lawson Reamer. That concludes public comment on the closed
We have proceed with our adjournments in memory. Today's first adjournment will be permitted by Supervisor Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon. Today we pause to remember in honor of my friend and former U.S. Representative for California's 1st Congressional District, Congressman Doug Lamoffo. Doug's public service included time in the California State Assembly, State Senate, and then the U.S. House of Representatives. Doug was much more than a respected public servant. He was a genuinely good man, a humble soul who never forgot his roots as a 4th-generation rice farmer, and someone who lived his values every day. He cared deeply about the people and the places he served, and he worked tirelessly to make life better for families, farmers, and communities across California and beyond. But what I'll remember most about Doug was the person he was, not just a congressman. He was loyal, warm, and sincere, someone you could always count on for a kind word, a listening ear, or a great laugh. Doug valued friendship and family, and he carried that love into everything he did. Doug was a devoted husband to his wife Jill, and a proud father to the 4 children. His family was his greatest joy, and he often spoke about them with deep affection and pride. I feel fortunate to have known Doug, not just in his public life, but as a friend whose presence made our state stronger. His passing leaves a hole in many hearts here in California. And to all those that loved him, please know that our thoughts and prayers are with you. May you find you shared and the legacy of his service, kindness, and integrity Doug leaves behind. I'd like to thank our chair and my board colleagues and the county staff for honoring Doug and his distinguished public service by lowering our flags at half-mast today at the County Administration Center. Thank you for that. With great respect and gratitude, we adjourn in memory without room. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Anderson. Today's final adjournment will be presented by myself in memory of Renee Nicole Good. Today we adjourn in memory of Renee Nicole Good, a U.S. citizen, a mother, a wife, a poet, and a person who was killed last week during a federal immigration enforcement operation in Minnesota. Renee Nicole Good is survived by her wife Becky Good and her 3 children. She was known to her family and community for her kindness, compassion, and care for others. Those who loved her described her as a woman whose generosity and warmth were felt wherever she went. Someone who welcomed people in, who lived with empathy, and who believed deeply in treating others with dignity. She was a devoted mother, raising our children with values of love, compassion, and responsibility toward one another. She was also a writer and a creative spirit who taught meaning and understanding in the world and expressed it through words. Her death has shaken communities across the country. It has left a family grieving, children without their mother, and many people struggling to reconcile how such a loss could occur. In moments like this, we are reminded that every human life carries infinite worth, and that respect for human dignity must always guide all of us entrusted with authority. As we adjourn today, we use to not only in sorrow but in resolve to honor Renee Nicole Good by choosing compassion and care. May her memory be a blessing, and may we carry forward the values she lived every day. With that, the board will proceed to closed session. I think our county team needed about 15 minutes to get organized, so we're at 2:25 right now, so 15 minutes. That would be 2:40 for the closed session, and we will reconvene Wednesday, January 14th at 9.
Board will now recess to the closed session to consider those matters listed under item 13 on today's session agenda. If there are any reportable actions, they will be reported out in the land use session. That will be 14/2026.
Why didn't you care about the kids that were killed in those crashes with hit and runs? That's sad that you wouldn't adjourn something to them, but whatever.